RTC in the latest version. So in this slide, we will talk about the ACLs, that is the access control lists. So ACLs are one of the integral part of ClearCase, I can say, because based on this itself, you would get access to read, write, or modify any of the elements that are present on a WOB. So what were the challenges that you were facing? Even we were getting regular PMRs or requests from customers. The major challenge was whenever you are trying to implement any group-based policies in your setup, because of the constraint at the OS level, that is based on your OS, whether it is Unix-based or Windows-based, there would be a constraint of 16 or 32 groups that a particular user can be part of. This was a major constraint. And also there was an overhead of managing and administrating multiple groups that you need to create, multiple accesses that you had to give for each and every user when there was a new group created. And for any restrictions, you had to create your own triggers. So managing and administering the trigger was a very big overhead compared to your normal other admin related activities. So in 8.0, we have simplified this process by the new method of ACLs, which is very flexible and very easy to manage. So there is no need for you to create exceptional triggers, no need to switch the primary groups each and every time. This ACL being the built-in, it will naturally act whenever there is a ClearCase operation performing, and it will, in most of the cases, it will obsolete the custom-based triggers that you have written in your existing environment. So in this slide, let's just take a use case, simple use case. For example, in your existing environment, let's say you had 3 different components, X, Y, and S. And you had to give access, read, write, and read-only access, complete access, specifically for people who are from individual groups. So you would go on creating 3 different groups, Group X, Group Y, and Group S. Let's say there is one user who is part of Group X, and he would need complete access to the component X. So you would obviously add him to Group X, and he would also need read-only access to read-only access to the component S. So you would add him to Group S. Since you have to restrict him from doing changes and modifications or performing the checkouts, you would create an explicit trigger, which could be a no checkout trigger. Similarly, let's say there is another user who needs complete access on component Y and read only to component S. So you would add him to Group Y and Group S, both the groups, and also create an additional trigger. And let's say there is one user who needs complete access on component S. So you will add him to Group S. So he will get all the access on the component S. Then comes the build user. In most of the cases, he will need to access all the components for running your builds, for creating the binaries, but you might not want him to give the modification access to him. So you might want to give only read only. So in such a scenario, you would go on adding him to the individual groups pertaining to each and every component. So just in the simple example that we took, we have added him to all the 3 groups. So build user is in all the 3 groups. So in a practical situation, you can easily visualize a case wherein there is a requirement for you to add the build user in more and more groups, which can easily cross the constraint that is at the OS level. Let's say more than 16 groups or more than 32 groups based on the number of components, number of domains you might have. So this is the major problem that we are tackling in the ClearCase 8.0. So till now we discussed about how you would implement in the existing older versions, that is 7.1.2. Let's come to the new way of ACLs. So In 8.0, you would have to implement two things. One is called as the role and the other is the policy file. So in roles, you would be defining each and every role that is specific to a component, and in the policy file you would go on specifying what access would you want to give for each and every role. So for example, let's say component X. So the role file would have two entries, that is group X and group B, and the policy file would be edited in such a way and make an entry saying that group X will have full permission and group B will be having the read permission. So you will have to run the protect command and apply this combination of the role and the policy file on each and every file element or on the directory level, whichever you want as per your requirements. So let's see in the use case that we have been discussing. So after defining the roles and the policy, once we apply the combination of it, we see that the user who was part of the group X, he will get full access to component X because as per the role-based policy or the role and the policy combination, the group X will have full permission. And the same role-based combination on component S will show that the person who is part of group X should just have the read access. So by applying this combination, we have made sure that we are satisfying the same requirement as earlier, and the person is only part of one group. Similarly, we would do the same implementation for a person who is in group Y. And going ahead, similarly, you would have to add the person in group S so that based on the role-based policy implementation, he will get the complete access on the component S. Now coming to the interesting part, the build user. So we already have seen that in the role file we have defined group B, and in the policy we have given read permission for this particular role in all the policy files. So the build user will be added only to the group B, but effectively he is getting the read access on all the components. So in this way you can simplify the group and group-based policies that you want to implement in your environment, and also make sure that there is no need of implementing, creating and applying the custom-based triggers, and you can also get a higher limit of groups per element and per user. So this is achievable by implementing the new role-based, policy-based combination that is provided in the ACLs for ClearCase 8.0. So earlier I talked about the evil twin. So this is one of the tests that we have done in our labs. So we have tried to compare the performance of a custom-based trigger or a manually written trigger. We compared three things here. The blue one is one of the triggers, and the one which you see in yellow, that is the built-in or the evil twin feature that is available in 8.0. So you can easily see that it is taking less than 1.3 seconds or 1.5 seconds in both the cases. So there is a major improvement in terms of the feature of applying the evil twin feature by upgrading to 8.0, and you can efficiently detect and prevent the risk of having an evil twin created compared to the custom-based triggers. This is a snapshot of one of the performance comparison that we done in the UCM operations. So the bars which you see in green, yellow and red are for the 8.0 series, and the one in blue, that is for the older version, that is 712. So it's clearly seen in 712 there was the same range or the same performance level for all the commands. But in 8.0 onwards, there has been a major improvement in most of the UCM-based operations, and in some operations we have been able to get a performance which is double the one that is present in 712 series of ClearCase. In this slide, this talks about the comparison of performance on a WAN-based activity when you are using the CCRC WAN server. So in slide 1, this shows the time that it has taken for loading a web view, and this has been checked or compared on different platforms. Like here we have compared on Windows, Linux, and Spark, and on an average we have been able to get about 35% of a gain compared to the older version of 712. And in screenshot 2, you can see the response time comparison of the web view in terms of the bandwidth that is available on your network. We have done this test in our labs, wherein this clearly shows that there has been a drastic improvement in the response time. When I say that it has taken a very lesser time to load a particular web view on a varying bandwidth that is available on your WAN.